Back in 2008, the US Drug Enforcement Agency, DEA, met with the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, RCMP, to inform them that Colombian-based Middle Eastern narco-terrorists had organised a major money laundering network in Canada. The DEA had received tip-offs, information from Colombian police and numerous of their own phone taps to back up their assertions that cash and cocaine shipments were routed through a narcotic network operating in Halifax, Vancouver, Calgary and London, Ontario. However, according to the DEA, the RCMP leaders took no action, claiming the evidence obtained was inadmissible under Canadian legal rules. A US source admitted, "We were dumbfounded." 6 years later, the RCMP accepted they'd made mistakes and recognised a sophisticated network of money laundering with links to China, the Middle East, Colombia and Mexico was operating via Canada. A new cartel, a development of Pablo Escobar's Medellin operation, La Oficina, was now involved with the Lebanese terrorist group Hezbollah and their quote-unquote business affairs arm, tasked with laundering billions of dollars of drug revenues to fund further terrorist, military and destabilizing activity. Hezbollah exploit the terrorist benefits of working alongside the drug cartels. It provides a professional service for criminal organizations throughout the world, especially China and Hong Kong, taking the view, confirmed by a US source, that damaging or weakening their enemies, both in the form of drug addiction and in terms of the societal and economic costs associated with combating trafficking and addiction. The DEA have been tracking the criminality of Hezbollah and the drug cartels worldwide for many years, yet were still surprised by the level of Hezbollah's operations in Canada, and equally surprised by the lack of interest expressed by the RCMP. Conversely, information passed to Australia saw their police take immediate action, forming ELIGO, a national anti-money laundering force. A combined DEA-Australian police covert operation seized $580 million worth of drugs and criminal property. A US source said, "ELIGO-style policing absolutely would have illuminated previously unknown organised crime figures and schemes, and how organised crime works inside Canada, and who the command and controls are internationally. You can absolutely say our investigations showed how Hezbollah is involved in terrorism financing in Canada by moving drugs for cartels." The source concluded, "And now with the fentanyl, a synthetic opiate 50 times more potent than morphine, like we are seeing in Vancouver, I think Hezbollah would love to help ship that into Canada." Canada belatedly announced plans to form an anti-money laundering force in their 2019 budget plans, and none too late, as this year the Middle East Institute of Research warns that Hezbollah's drug and money laundering activities will rise as US sanctions against Iran bite harder. In 2013, London, UK police chiefs of the Five Eyes group, UK, US, Australia, New Zealand and Canada, reached agreement. If drug smuggling and terrorist organisations were merging, they should be treated as national security threats. At a further Five Eyes meeting in Virginia, USA, investigators and analysts heard that the DEA were targeting Hassan Mansour, one of Hezbollah's head money launderers, claiming, "Mansour would have been a very good target because we knew him, Canada knew about him, and he was very active in violating Canadian laws." He was already under investigation in France. A US official reported that Altaf Hanani and Mansour worked in harmony based on their individual strengths. One of Mansour's Hezbollah roles was to traffic drugs to Australia and send cash back, but he needed help. A US official said, "The funny thing is, Hezbollah has good ability to move cocaine into Australia, but they are not that strong getting the cash out, so they contracted with Altaf Hanani to get cash out of there. He was able to produce US dollars in Dubai and wire it around the world." The Five Eyes put together a plan to capture Hanani following a DEA discovery that Hezbollah needed to move $1.8 million of cocaine cash out of Australia. In a quote-unquote reverse policing operation, using taxpayers' money and undercover agents posing as an expanding drug cartel, they successfully infiltrated Hezbollah's money laundering service. It had risks. The agents may be killed. Hezbollah could steal the Five Eyes cash drops and use the taxpayers' cash to fund terrorism. However, it was a success for the Eligo force. They identified more than 100 members of organised crime personnel they were previously unaware of. The RCMP were a reluctant party, but finally committed. "We pushed very hard for the RCMP to drop that cash in Toronto," the US source said. "We were trying to encourage the relationship." The US official said disrupting money laundering also acts against drug dealing in Canada. In fact, the DEA discovered that Hezbollah drug cash from Australia had links to drug contracts in Canada. DEA records filed in the US District Court show that using sham companies and Dubai currency exchanges linked to Mansour and Hanani, the Hezbollah network wired funds to Miami. In 2016, Mansour faced state felony money laundering charges in Florida. Mansour was under house arrest in Paris at the time for unrelated money laundering charges. The charges have not, as yet, been proven. In 2017, Hanani was given a near 6-year prison sentence in the US District Court, Florida, for conspiracy to commit money laundering.